let's get into it.
Okay.
Alex, I read your review.
Okay.
And I think I agree almost entirely. I think you might have more patience for the
Yes.
game than I did, because I did the thing that I totally thought I was going to do, which is appreciate it, like what the game's doing, I'll follow it, from afar, from Twitter, whatever, but I don't think I'm playing it anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing. So in the review that will be up, again, probably after this goes live, but today, I am very clear that I think that, just personally, I think about 70% of people who play that thing are going to bounce off it way earlier than I did, if not right away. The rhythms of that game are grindy, and they are not grindy in a way that is actively pleasant to the player. Like, it's a lot of very skeletal systems that sort of work together. And if you're into just the pure idea of exploration and just kind of putting your stamp on these different places that you go, irrespective of the fact that a lot of the places you go do use a lot of the same assets, across the board, I think that grind becomes okay. And the reason for it is because it just gives you something to propel you forward while you're engaging with this active discovery, which is really what I think the heart of that game is, and I think it's the one thing it does extremely well.
Do you think it misses the mark? Do you think they set out for something and they didn't quite get there? Do you think players aren't latching on to the thing they really want?
I don't know, because the thing is, I'm hesitant to ascribe specific intent to the developers, even knowing what I've read from Sean Murray and other people associated with that game. I mean, I think the thing they always wanted was people to be able to go into that universe and just kind of make their mark, just discover things, engage with the world.
Do you think they miss that, though? Because some of that discovery stuff I found in playing it, I don't rename stuff anymore.
Mm-hmm. I did once.
So I don't do that, and
I always rename planets. I don't necessarily rename.
Do you still?
Yeah.
Oh wow,
I do.
So how many planets have you named?
I've probably named about 40 something planets.
Are they all Twitter accounts?
Not all of them. I've used some other naming conventions here.
YouTube channel.
There was one that was just red and yellow, and it sucked, and I just called it a Ronald McDonald ass planet, and that was that.
Okay.
So the discovery stuff. I did one planet, and I fully cataloged every animal.
Right.
And I was like, I'm actually enjoying this part of living on this one planet, discovering all the animals on this planet. Mm-hmm. But then that was it for the planet. Like, once I did that, there's nothing else to really discover on the planet, because everything else is kind of like ephemeral. Like, it just comes and then goes. Like, the way stations, all the other discoveries on that planet just feel like as soon as I fly past it, I'm never going to see this again.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not marking it on a map. It's not, it's on your map, but that might as well just disappear into the ether.
Right.
I almost wish I was able to map that planet in a way that's like, oh, hey, I've got the map of this whole thing, where I was, my discoveries, where I was yesterday, where I am today, what I'm going to seek out tomorrow.
If this was a cartography simulator, I do actually think it would be a better game. I think that if the goal of the game was more expressly about, being able to find these places and actually, kind of document them in a way that is more than just taking cool screenshots and, uploading these things to the server, I think that would be great.
There's something missing for me, though, where it's like, the reason it just feels like I get to the planet and I'm just looking for the resources to make that next warp core.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, what you're doing, the thing is, it's a survival game, and a survival game is not an exploration game inherently. Like, a survival game is just about being able to scrape by and get the things you need to get to the next point. And, so that rhythm on its own is somewhat in contradiction to the exploratory parts of it.
Yeah.
But also, that stuff, none of that stuff's very complicated, which I think is why I'm kind of okay with it. Like, I understand it's not very deep, and I think for a lot of people that grind will become repetitive at a certain point, and they're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I've definitely heard that from a lot of people, and I don't blame them one bit. Like, I think that system is just not designed to respect the player's time well.
Well, to me, some of it feels like you've driven across the country a lot.
Yes.
It almost feels like when you drive across the country and you're like, oh man, all these places are just strip malls. Mm-hmm. And I'm just driving from gas station to gas station through strip malls. And it kind of has a little bit of that of let's drive across the country. And man, everything kind of looks the same.
Every station in that game might as well just be another Panda Express on the side of the road.
Right. And then I'm
right.
stopping for gas, which is the stuff I need to make the warp core. Then it's get back in the ship and let's go to the next thing. Once in a while you stop at the cool diner and like, oh, this is a cool diner. They have something cool here.
There's not a lot of cool diners.
But for the
there.
most part, you're literally going to the next strip mall, which is like, and like you see some weird people, like the people, like it's like stopping in at a weird Walmart, right? And being like, oh, they dress funny here. And
yeah,
then
it's just a Walmart full of Vikine warriors that fucking, that want to cut your hand open and spit in it for some reason.
Which is like a pretty good Walmart relatively.
It is. Yeah. They could get some better greeters, maybe.
But that really is a good sort of metaphor for what is going on there.
And like at some point, I just felt like I had the most fun when I was really just documenting that one planet, like Jacques Cousteauing this one planet, and being like, I know everything.
I mean, I've done that, and there have definitely been planets I've spent like multiple hours on doing, various documentations and just kind of looking for stuff and just putting putting names on things. And I think that, the thing, like, I had the most fun when I didn't have a set goal in mind as far as like how long I wanted to spend on a place.
Yeah.
Like I would go to a planet, and if I went there and it's like minimal animal life and not a whole lot to see or not a whole lot to mine, like I had no problem leaving there 20 minutes after I got there. That's fine. I think that is like that is kind of the thing that's left up to the player in that game, is like, how long do you want to spend it? Like you can go to the center, but like that's just a place you go because the developers of that game felt like there needed to be a place to go.
And like I get that. It's like an existential thing of like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
like,
if there's it's the same thing with that Atlas path. Like that Atlas thing clearly exists to give someone some kind of like, story cohesiveness that like puts you in a direction, but it's kind of worthless because it's like it just doesn't really tell you much of a story, and it's really only there just to handhold you to a point. And then, once it finally concludes with what it does, it's not like anything really special happens. Like it tells you something special happens, but you don't feel it. You don't get anything out of it. So for me, it's like the joy of that game is completely untethered from any of the structural stuff that the developers actually try to put you on.
It's just the fun that you kind of made yourself.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just about being able to put that tiny little stamp of my own on this vast, basically unknowable thing. Yeah. Like no one, I don't think the whole of that player base will ever see every single planet, every single,
it's like
moon.
Impossible.
Yeah, basically impossible. So, the idea that stuff is kind of, that's your path. That's what you've seen. That's what you've done. Like, that's what appeals to me about it. And the idea that no one else may ever see it again. Like, even though it's, again, using the same stuff over and over again, it doesn't matter because that's a corner that I saw that maybe no one else will ever see again.
Okay, I've got a pitch.
Okay.
It's gonna have the magic of the exploration of Destiny, but with a defined end goal. It's a co-op Lewis and Clark game. You start on the East Coast, you got to go to the West Coast and map out everything in between. You can get lost from each other. You have to survive. There's fucking bears and stuff. You got to cross rivers.
Can I craft?
Yeah.
Of course.
You put a rock and a stick together.
How do you map stuff?
It's like an Uncharted thing. Like when you press the back button or whatever, it pulls out like a little fold-out map. And then, like, as you explore and
so it's auto mapping.
Yeah, I don't think you're taking like a tablet and drawing it out or anything.
You're not going to do that.
That could be cool.
Is there a boss fight at the end? Like, do I fight a dragon? What do I do?
How did they end their real journey?
They ate each other.
No, they didn't.
They got really bummed out with one another.
Did they get to the West Coast? Did they get to California?
Sick of you, Lewis.
They opened a Fuddruckers like halfway down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're like, let's just live here.
It stopped in St. Louis.
Let's just stop. They did the Louisiana Purchase.
No, they didn't.
No.
Yeah, that is not.
That
what
was
happened.
that Andrew Jackson?
That was part of their thing.
Was that Andrew Jackson?
That sounds more right than Lewis and Clark.
Doing the
like
Louisiana,
$14
they went to explore, and then they went back to Lincoln, and he did the Louisiana Purchase. It just keeps going.
They don't know the value.
We should stop this conversation before we get a million corrections.
We're going to have a history quiz next week.
Yeah.
No, they went through St. Louis and the gateway to the west, and that's why there's the arch. Sacagawea was somewhere during this journey.
She was their guide, right?
Well, that's what the history books tell us.
Whether that's actually 100% true.
If there is one thing I have learned in my brief time in the New York office, it is listen to Alex, and we should stop talking about this before
it balloons.
We are digging a hole.
Yeah,
it's okay.
It's gonna be fun.
But I actually don't think your idea for a game is that bad.
I would play the shit out of that game.
It's like a more mature Oregon Trail.
Yeah, but like a full scale United States.
Yes.
Not like some shitty map like in the fucking Crew. Like a real ass U.S.
Like foot to foot.
Yeah, and then because then you get the scale thing.
I would settle for something on the American Truck Simulator level of like, hey, these are really big, wide open spaces, but it's not 1-to-1.
What if they did it in? What if the only way to do it was there's a bunch of teams that are also heading out there at the same time.
What do you mean, like a bunch of Lewis
So
and
it's like
Clarks?
the Amazing Race.
So it's like the Amazing Race, and the game runs in sessions of like, okay,
It's like a season.
Like
Like,
a
all right,
season.
Lewis and Clark's, get at the mark and
totally
shoot a pistol
And
in the air.
and you've got to like, not only do you need to you have to map the most territory. You're rated on a bunch of different things. Who can map the most in the least amount of time with the fewest casualties?
No, it's just the first person to get to the West Coast.
Nope, because what if you just eliminate the other team?
Yeah, you can kill the other teams. That sounds good.
Or stymie
Permadeath,
them.
total permadeath.
I was thinking maybe put like honey down and like ants.
I was kind of
Like
hoping
predator
maybe this
traps?
would be a game that didn't have murder in it, but
I mean, there's going to be bears no matter what.
well, no,
Bears
no.
murder people.
No. That's
That's
nature.
nature.
That's
It's still
the savagery
murder.
of nature.
It's still murder.
Yeah, but bears do it because that's just their nature. They kill things that threaten them. They did.
If the laws of man applied to bears and a bear ate you and they put the bear in court, would he not be tried?
I don't think
Would he
bears
not be convicted of
I don't-
murder?
I don't
No,
think
totally not.
Why?
I don't
Are
think
you
a bear
are
can
you
be tried in a U.S. court.
Are you convicted for eating a hamburger?
Well, no.
Okay.
But they're cows and we're people. Like, if
it's the
man
same
laws
argument
applied
with
to
a bear.
bears,
If a cow killed a person, it wouldn't go to trial.
Yeah.
but what if man laws applied to cows? Then
What
he
if
would.
cow laws applied to man?
What if bear
No,
laws
that's
applied to
ridiculous.
cows?
What if cows ate human burgers?
That's fucked up.
What if a
That's
bear
some
was-
fucking Gary Larson shit here?
What if a bear was a cow?
Yes. What if a bear? What if
That's a
bear
good
was
question. That
cow?
is a good question.
Yeah.
That's valid.
That would be a very scary farm.
Yeah. Speaking of bear cows, No Man's Sky.
So No Man's Sky.
There's other stuff we have to talk about.
There is.
There's a lot we could talk.
Yeah.
We talked a lot last time,
right? But like, there's stuff we didn't talk about last week that I think we should at least
Yeah.
What you got?
mention.
And so I think there's actually a good jumping off point for this. We got an email this week.
we want to bring that email.
I'm going to bring
relevant.
this email is coming out of the email section and
Yeah.
into this segment.
Okay.
I will allow it.
This email comes from Andrew in New York. Andrew says, over the past couple of years, and probably longer, there are numerous examples of games not releasing exactly as they've been described or shown during development. Good examples include the developer of No Man's Sky alluding to possible multiplayer functionality, and The Witcher 3's and Dark Souls 2's graphics downgrades, however you define that. Should consumers hold developers or publishers to everything said pre-release is the better answer to this total transparency. How about pushing marketing much closer to release? Do you believe that it is on the consumer to temper their own expectations, or is the onus on the developer or the producer? Now, what a lot of this is coming from is a variety of things. One, there's been some threads going around of basically collections of what have been, statements made, things said by the developers, Hello Games, about No Man's Sky over time. Systems and things that just never came to fruition in the final game.
Details, little things like
Yeah.
that.
Some
Stuff you've
misleading
seen in a
statements.
video.
Yeah, and then
some outright maybe
and
false statements.
then there's also been some visual aids used comparing the original trailer of that game, the very first one that they showed at the VGX Awards, versus and also that E3 trailer.
Right, and I had not watched that E3 2014 trailer since
I haven't seen
seeing
it since
it at
either.
the show.
Is it
It's
different?
pretty stark.
You need to watch it.
The
Okay.
Is this
visuals,
after
You
the-
might get upset.
Is this after the Video Game Awards one?
yes, this is the first E3 trailer,
Okay.
the very
Okay.
first.
So, what do you have to say about that? Because that's what I really want to talk
So
about.
what I got to say about that is
What do you have to say about it?
the differences are obvious. And
course.
I think that, as much as we want to just be like, well, maybe they didn't say this, maybe they didn't, like when you look at the visual that they presented in that first trailer versus what that game came out, obviously they're very different. There's been a lot of good discussion around that stuff, I will say. I feel like, a lot of people in development have kind of come out and said, like, look, stuff that, is planned pre-release, these kind of early teasers are sort of based on ideas of what the game can look like versus, what eventually becomes reality over the course of development.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas, people who wanted, or were fans of this game and wanted very much to play it as it was originally presented are expressing fairly understandable disappointment at the fact that the final game did not live up to a lot of that.
So there's that. Then there's the immediate reaction of what happens after something like this comes out.
Right.
Okay. I don't.
When you say this, the 2014 trailer,
specifically
that
the
looks
2014,
unbelievable.
the E3 2014.
And apparently it
gameplay.
wasn't believable.
Now, when you go on YouTube, when you go to Sony's official thing, it is called the gameplay trailer.
Yes.
Right. Which that's an implication right there, right? That this is what you will be playing in the game. And then you have the immediate reaction. A lot of outlets praise things like this. They go, "Oh, this is amazing."
Yes, it looks amazing.
Because it looks amazing. Because apparently this is what is going
most
to be
anticipated
in the game. It wins all these awards, right? Or maybe not winning awards, but definitely had some sort of accolade.
Look, there's a whole other separate conversation to have about the validity of E3 awards and things like that.
And we've had that conversation before. But you know what I'm getting at.
Yes.
So
this looks like a different game.
It's a different game.
I mean, this is like Killzone 2 levels.
No, this is beyond that. Killzone,
this is even more unrealistic.
I feel like Killzone 2 almost hit that.
It almost kind of did, actually.
I'm sure everyone listening has seen this trailer, and if you haven't,
go back and
you
watch
don't remember it. It's like when that rhino animal starts galloping through the trees and it scares the other dinosaur-looking animals.
Like you can see pieces of the final game in this, but like it's not this.
Yeah, I haven't seen this in 2 years, and this is amazing how different it looks.
and you're going through that reaction I had 2 days ago.
Now again, the reality is, of course, that obviously development challenges will happen. Things that are unexpected, problems arise, and things will disappear from those kinds of games. Now, the question that I think that we all kind of have to ask ourselves and have been asking ourselves for a while in the wake of things like this, the BioShock Infinite original E3 demo, stuff like that.
Best other example.
Is it actually to our benefit to see these kinds of early presentations of the game that aren't really what is like a playable game?
To whose benefit? Like the press or
to anyone?
Here's the thing, right? I think there is too much of an underdiscussed silent agreement that is like going on here, where it's like, we're showing you this. We maybe don't know if this is what we're going to get, but you guys love it, and you guys think that this is going to be what the game is.
So I think that stuff, they walked it back, though, right? They used to say...
here's what we're targeting.
Or no, they used to do like, this is gameplay footage instead of pre-rendered. And that was a big move.
Right. That was like a big hurdle, right?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. So I think, look, we're all guilty of doing this, but I think maybe the messaging has to be changed. I think we need to start using words like targeting, or anticipating.
Concept.
Or something like that, and because it is not doing anyone any good.
I mean, I think the challenge you will run into with that really isn't anything to do with audience reaction or even developer related. It has a lot to do with just the publishing and the promotion of the game.
I get it.
When you have a product that you're sinking a lot of capital into, and you need to generate that level of interest, you need people to get eyeballs on this thing.
Totally.
You need people interested in it. Like, granted, again, No Man's Sky was a 15-person team. The actual amount of capital that was sunk into that thing, even though over the course of 5 years, probably still wasn't what you would spend on, like, a major Assassin's Creed game or something like that.
I gotcha.
But at the same time, when that thing debuted, the interest kind of, initially sort of came around, and then, they showed it at E3, and, like, people lost their fucking minds. So, of course, people were like, hey, we got to promote the shit out of this thing. We got to get in front of as many people as we can, because they thought they had something there. They thought they needed to get people in front of it. The reality is they couldn't do that game. And that, for whatever reason, it didn't come to be that game.
Right.
And, I agree with you that I think that it would probably benefit everyone to not do these kinds of, like, target video type things that aren't representative of what the final game is. But also, you need to have longer than 6-month promotional windows for these things.
100%.
And the nature of game development makes that very challenging to show you exactly what that game is more than like a year before it comes out.
So maybe someone comes up with a different way.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like showing a shitload of art. I don't know. I get it. Like, of course,
but again,
like,
the art.
Here's what Larry drew, and we think this is what the game's going to look like.
Yeah.
To me, it's just like, this is a very stupid game. I think the game being of having these jaded sort of expectations.
And I would also emphasize that this is a little different than something like the Dark Souls 2 or the Witcher stuff, where it's like the core of everything those games was in the promotional items. It just didn't quite hit the exact visual target they were going for.
And I think that is a completely more reasonable sort of, downgrade that I think people can understand.
Yes.
I know it's not realistic for several reasons, but like I really love surprise launches. I like not knowing something exists and then all of a sudden discovering it and realizing it's awesome. Like we were talking before the show about Stranger Things. Right. I went from never hearing of that show at all to seeing everyone tweet about it to me watching the whole thing in like a week, and it's this nice surprise. And some games do that, like Grow Home.
Yeah,
you know, like Grow Home just launched out of nowhere, and what a pleasant surprise that was. Well, like, oh, here's this cool thing that I didn't know existed.
The difference is that in games, much more so than those other mediums, is that when games tend to surprise launch, it's because someone didn't have confidence in that thing, really, you know, like sinking a bunch of money into promoting that thing.
And I know pre-orders and everything are such a huge thing in marketing campaigns.
And that, you know, in its own way is fairly poisonous, but like, you know,
it's on both sides of the fence is what I mean. We can, you know, stomp our feet and demand this change, but it's really got to be
pretty misleading.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it's
super misleading.
Hey,
I think that's what we're saying.
I am even as someone,
there's a lot of property on the other guy's side of the fence. I'm saying on my side, sitting in a E3 conference room or whatever, watching that thing, and somebody says this is actual gameplay, because that became the sword, the shield, right, of developers being like, this isn't pre-rendered. We all have this understanding. I'm not really playing this, but I'm gonna hold a controller and play this, right? Like, and
I mean, I've been in those demos, but I mean, I've been in as many where, you know, the demo they were playing was actually being played, but also the demo itself would have flown apart if anyone moved 1 inch to the left or whatever.
But like, you're getting up here saying this is a game, this is actual gameplay, because you're trying to defend yourself from saying this is pre-rendered and won't look like this. So that's like, basically now we have to shove that out the window, and you need something else, some other language to say this isn't actual game. This is what the game will look like, right? Like, when are people gonna? They always want to sell the game at E3. They're not there to make caveats and be like,
I know, but like,
it probably won't look like this. But Bill thinks this looks rad.
Just like when I see this video again, it starts to look more like a Kickstarter trailer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where it's like,
here's what we're shooting
here's
for.
What we're shooting
it's
for.
It's a target.
Yeah.
I think this is way more damning than any of the clips of Sean Murray floating around where he's being kind of dodgy about multiplayer stuff.
Right,
I think this trailer that they officially released is way more damning than any of those things.
Yeah, so I think it's...
And then when you have a second, go watch the E3 2012 or 13 BioShock Infinite.
Right.
Game.
Oh,
Just
right.
Watch that.
Right.
Watch that and you'll smash your head against the
I
wall
don't know.
again.
That game looks awesome, though.
I want this 2014's No Man's Sky.
Yeah. So does everybody.
So can't wait for No Man's Sky remastered.
I mean, I say it again, you know, even as someone that can appreciate what that game does and does enjoy still playing it, like, I think anyone who is upset about having seen this and, you know, hoping that it would actually hit something even close to that target, I understand why you're upset. I think it's valid. I think it's understandable. I think that, you know, there's a limit to that. I think that, you know, again, the second you start harassing a developer or threatening them or anything, like, you've officially gone off the fucking rails.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, expressing your displeasure with this is understandable. And if it's enough to say, hey, I don't want to play this game because it's not what I was sold on, I get it. I think that's reasonable.
I mean, I've seen trailers for movies and gone to the theater and been like, this is not the movie that was sold to me in the trailer. This is a different movie.
Now, when you say that, though, what are you saying? You're not saying
I'm
that,
saying
like,
you picked all the best scenes in the trailer.
But not that they showed you stuff that wasn't in the movie.
Right. Not that. Well,
and when
there have been trailers
that does,
like
but like,
but they shot that.
Right,
that
they
exists.
shot that is real, that is captured.
I mean, somebody made that build. I'm not saying it's right.
Like, where is? I want to see that build.
Did they make a build, or did they just make like a CG like?
I think that build exists, and it was running on 800.
Like, they had
Titans.
one planet that could do that.
Yes.
What do you think the reaction would be in 2016 social media internet if Metal Gear Solid 2, I know I bring that up a lot, happened now, where they literally fabricated parts of that trailer to make it look like you're playing a Solid Snake fighting the Harrier on the George Washington Bridge. Scenes that don't happen in the game,
I think
just to pull the switch through.
Yeah, I think people would be very cranky
People
about
were
that.
upset in 2001, but I just imagine now it would be such a bigger shitstorm.
Yes, it would.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it would.
That's just straight up lying, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So what happens? Does anything change?
Yeah, I think Sony's next press conference, I think this happened with Killzone, Dan said it before, and we moved into this is actual gameplay, this is not pre-rendered, this is whatever.
When was that Killzone? That was like
2008?
Yeah.
Wait,
no, that was before that. That was way before that.
PS6.
That was like 2005.
Yeah, that was
I wanna
going
say.
into PS3.
5, 6.
I think
It was?
Yeah, that
it
was like,
and that was
hey-
around the time they were doing commercials for Call of Duty 3 that were super duper pre-rendered and not indicative of the final game. And I think there might have been some kind of lawsuit or ruling about
There
this.
was definitely, I don't remember if it was Call of Duty or not, but there was definitely a point where some game did not properly disclose that the footage they were showing was
Right.
not
I think it was Call of Duty 3.
gameplay, and it was in an ad, and they got the FCC was like, nah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was probably 2004, 2005.
We had
when that
Colonial
Killzone thing
Marines
happened. Yeah.
happened.
That was a whole other thing.
Well, it was similar. It was on the similar.
It was.
It was in the. It was in the state of that. All right. It was like
I still think that one was worse.
it was misleading E3
Well,
stuff, right?
but let's like take a bigger step back and like look at what we're saying here by picking apart all these examples. So 2004, 2005, that Killzone trailer comes
Yeah.
out. Everyone's like, "Oh, that's what PlayStation 3 games look like.
Yeah.
Awesome."
Or can look like, yeah.
Right? Okay. We
Sold.
called bullshit, and 10 years later, it was the changing of like, oh, like you just said,
Yeah.
what's gameplay versus pre-rendered.
Yeah.
And now
What you're seeing
they
is
figured out-
actual gameplay.
So there seems like there was a way to figure it out where they could still, I don't want to say lie, but mislead by showing video that was
know.
completely.
They broke that word.
There's a loophole. They just like found a way to sort of like sneak in stuff that was still dishonest.
I would say I believe in my heart that at some point they believed that game could exist, that was the game they were going to make. I think at some point reality just crashed into it. I think the real problem is that they did not get out there and say, look, these things that we were originally targeting it can't happen. We just can't do them. They're not, at least not in the initial run. There's hopefully a lot we can do to build support for this platform down the road. But these are the realities of what development has brought us over the last 3 years that we've been making this game.
Sure.
And that's where I think Hello has fucked up, is that they just haven't been good at messaging this stuff.
Right.
And Sony hasn't really helped them that much, because Sony seems like they just want to get that fucking thing out there, and they weren't really interested in like trying to mitigate any of the possible anger that would come from the game not being that exact thing that was originally pitched.
And I will join your giving the benefit of the doubt and say in 2014, sure,
They probably believed it.
Someone was like, oh, all right, this can be done.
Yes.
You know what we need
Sure.
to do is bring back Next Gen Magazine and have everything be revealed with, yes, this is a real screenshot on the cover.
Well, that's kind of what they're saying at these press conferences, and I feel like they've
Yeah.
worn out the word real gameplay.
It's a tool. It's
but they can't use it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to believe them anymore.
I-
or like created in engine. Or
yeah,
something like
exactly.
That.
All this footage is in engine. Like, yeah,
This trailer has been created with the finest in-game engine.
I will also add that just, for the benefit of the doubt for the developer side of this, I will say that, if I was Sean Murray or anyone on that team, the last thing in the fucking world I would want to do at this point was like put out more messaging, because anything you say in regards to that
for
game
sure.
has been latched onto. And, there's been some good commentary saying, like, maybe one of the reasons you just don't talk about systems or things that aren't locked in these games is because they are automatically taken as promises the second they get out there. And, I understand the reluctance to get out there and, deal with more of that, because, the amount of vitriol you get associated with that is just psychologically damaging. I get it. That said, one good PR person that, is tuned into the studio and is able to sort of like, address the stuff in a smart and meaningful way ahead of release.
yeah, could manage some.
Could have, I think, stemmed some of the tide at the very least.
It was a thing that showed, and everybody said it looked too good to be true, but it looked real.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it comes from people really earnestly wanting that.
Yeah.
And it comes from a good place.
You can't blame them. That looked amazing.
They're just disappointed, and they feel burned on it.
And I think disappointment, again, as much as I like various aspects of that game, I think that the disappointment for that game is completely warranted.
Now, let's talk about the reality and the future. Ladies and
Wait a
gentlemen
minute.
who are playing No Man's Sky on the PC, here are some mods already available to you.
Okay.
Tired of having to hold down the damn button when you want to select something? Gone. Just click it. There's a mod out there that just lets you click on
I
it.
guess that doesn't
so we're
actually
getting there.
bother me that much, but okay.
Some stuff is like, come on, just let me click.
More than anything else, I just want to bulk upload for stuff I discover. But yes, okay.
So you're talking about when you select things, waiting for the thing to counterclockwise?
Yeah, because if you land on a planet and find like 8 plants, you have to do it every single day.
Or what about like if I'm in the market and I'm like, I want to sell. I don't have to wait 4 seconds for this thing to
like the problem. But the problem for me is not necessarily the circle filling in; it's the fact that I have to do this for every individual item. Period.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or like the uploading thing.
Yeah.
There's only one selection tool here.
Quick button to get rid of your HUD in case you want to take some beautiful pictures.
And the fact that it doesn't have a built-in photo mode is kind of weird.
Surprising, yeah.
Disabling the audio warnings that are like
warning, storm coming.
That would be great.
Life support system low when it's like I'm at 90%.
It's like it's every 25% that thing goes off. Yeah,
Like, I'm good. It's taken an hour and a half for it to get here. I'm okay. Also, what's the penalty? I've got 6 bags full of thorium-9. Like, I'll be okay. Autofill it if you want. So there's one of that. You can kill some of the filters for the screen. I like how that game looks. I do too. I don't want to knock those off. I don't know what this is. Jeff, do you know what this is?
Well, that's clearly Wubba Lubba Dub Dub.
What does that mean?
That's true.
Okay, so you can replace...
units received.
Yeah, you can replace that with Wubba Lubba Dub.
Oh, it's Rick Sanchez.
Who I don't know what that is.
that?
I'm
From
out
Rick
of
and
touch.
Morty.
Oh,
God damn it.
Oh, right on.
Wait,
that's
is Rick
actually
and
really
Morty
cool.
like
It's
is
a cartoon.
Rick Sanchez?
Rick Sanchez is his name.
Is of Rick and Morty?
Yes.
Like in character?
Yes.
Okay.
It's probably just taking an audio file from that show and it's just
obviously
applying
right.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Units received.
So yeah, get done with that. Some things I would like to see, and also obviously there are just trainers that will get you
Inventory full.
Oh God, just get me a.
Of course
fucking-
it is.
I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing I'm meanest about in my review is that I cannot. The idea. Okay, the worst game design convention in current modern gaming is this system sucks until you upgrade it so that it sucks less. That is, that includes your inventory. That includes your stamina.
Like
that includes your jetpack, your mining speed, all that. Like the fact that it is bad at the start is not where you should be starting. It should be okay at the very least to start, and then get great. That's how that should work.
That's why we have those. That's why games have that abilities, right? It's like, oh, let me start you with everything and show you how good life will be.
The Metroid thing.
Yes. And then like,
and then let's take it all away from you.
And take it all away and be like, oh, but at least I know where I'm going to get.
But also make it manageable to start, please.
Yeah. That inventory is nightmarish.
It's real bad.
Inventory management is not a fun game.
I want in those space stations, I want to turn my ship around, and I know this is a horrible thing, and kill the other pilots and steal their ship. That's how frustrated I am with my ship only being able to have 15 slots or whatever. Like, I will murder this space station and steal these ships because I need to hold gold and aluminum. I am not making this choice.
So Alex,
Get me a goddamn phone that I can call somebody and be like, you want to buy this aluminum? Because there's no space station around here.
Maybe there's a trading post.
You're not wrong.
I want the trading post to be representative of the galactic trading also. Like, make it tied in.
So I'm surprised you haven't expressed any frustration with not sort of getting a clear picture of like the narrative of like what's kind of going on.
I made my peace with it, and I said I'll just make my own.
Narrative doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I go to the thing and it's like, oh, the Atlas path will take you to find yourself.
Well, for me,
take a nice bath and light some candles. Let's talk about who you really are.
I didn't realize that was the accent. It was all
Turn into Malcolm McDowell at the end.
Yeah, that's strange. I want to know, like, why are there sentinels on every planet in the entire
Do you know why
galaxy?
there's sentinels on every planet in the entire galaxy? Because someone at Hello Games said, it'd be weird if people didn't fight shit in this video game. So here's some shit to fight.
And, like, who are these guys who just sit on these base stations forever?
I know, these poor guys.
They just
Sometimes I just want to put a bullet in their head.
I kind of love that because I think it reflects the loneliness that they're going for in the universe. Like I think that these people who are just stranded.
But
well,
sure.
I think it is. Okay. I feel like it is.
I wish they had. If I know it's a small team, but in my dream version of this, Alex, I'm with you. They kept that, but the inside of those other places look like a madman's house with just crazy drawings, scratched like 1, 2, 3, 4 line through it, like. Been here for 7 days. This asshole came in, doesn't even understand what I'm saying. I am saying the Corvantage conversions, and I need to be rebooted. And you're just sitting there pulling down your pants and shitting in the corner. And like when it's like,
I don't think the Korvax shit.
The Corvax, they shit digital, whatever.
Yeah, they shit bolts.
But like, you come in, right, and it's just like he looks at me with like. apathy and like
and
laughs.
his beak flutters.
Yeah, and it's like, and I leave.
Yeah,
or like,
it's all just a little too pretty, you know.
Yeah.
Like, it's a little too like. I mean, the game is very serene, and I think that's what they're going for. But like, when they're trying to emphasize like the situation of the different people who are on these stations or whatever, like it feels a little airless.
Like
you
when
know?
I get those things wrong, like when I go in there and like I only understand one word and it's trespasser, and I'm like I walk in, interloper, and like I don't know, I'll give you carbon, and like
You
it's
just
like
want some carbon?
and it's like he laughs at me and then goes back to his pet. I want to walk out and I want that lab to explode. Like I want it to be like, I guess I'm alone out here, and just hit the button and just be.
He's got a shotgun on the porch.
Totally. Like none of that happens, and I feel like I've gotten the same, unless it's always the same, Alex, and please tell me it's not. When I go to the fucking terminal and the little map comes up and it's like 9302.
Yes.
2930.
Yes. No, it's always
0293. What comes next? And it's like, dude, it's the same time. It's the same sequence every time.
No, it's not the exact same sequence every time, but like it's a version of that.
The numbers
They're
stay
similar
in the
pattern.
same order. That just go. The numbers move in their order, right?
Yeah, it's the worst.
It's not
it's
a
the worst
puzzle.
encryption system you've ever heard.
Yeah.
It's not a puzzle.
It's not.
It's not meant. It's not really meant to be. I don't think. Like,
And the text that leads up to it is like, oh, somebody for hundreds of years,
Yeah.
the stress beacon has gone unsolved. And it's like, this universe deserves to be destroyed. Is that what I'm going to find out at the center of the galaxy? That it's an idiot child that is like, I made this. Welcome to my world.
It's just he's in a sandbox.
Let me reiterate this again. If you were looking for narrative in this game, don't play No
Don't
Man's
look
Sky.
for it.
Please don't. That is the last thing you will find is a satisfying
You're
narrative
the
in
only
this.
sane being in this galaxy would be a pretty good one, though.
You keep talking about the sense of isolation, and it is there.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll dock at a space station, and it's like a Costco.
Yeah.
Like all these guys coming in and out, and I'm like, all right.
Well,
Can
I'm
we
not saying-
talk for a
I'm
second
not saying
without you
there's-
trying to sell me your ship? Like, let's wrap,
I'm
man.
not saying there shouldn't be like any points where
No, I
like
know,
that stuff
I know.
converges. I think that it's good that they're like, you know, at least at the stations and sometimes those trading posts that happens. But like,
I do sometimes get like a Spaceballs vibe from this game.
Like the
Yeah, where like some of the ships look like weird Winnebagos and
Oh, sure.
oh yeah, I mean that
and, like
first
I get there's like goofy alien shtick sometimes.
that is that fucking Honda Civic ass ship that you start with is just
totally.
like it's just the most beater ass piece of shit.
Yeah, there's something about this. Yeah, I don't know.
Like there would be there are a couple of things I'd like. We should move on from No Man's Sky,
Yeah.
but like if you told me that you're exiled, right? And like
Right.
you're out in dark fucking space. That's why there are no families, no cities, no nothing. And like you're trying to make it out there. Like that's all the narrative I really need of like, oh, that makes sense. Like we're out in fucking no man's land here. Like where is everybody?
Yeah.
Where is everybody?
My secret hope, and I don't think this will come to fruition because I don't think this is actually how the game is set up, but like my secret hope is that somewhere amid these fucking however many quintillion planets, there's 3 planets
with
that are cities that are just like the home planets
Arcologies, yeah.
for these
Star
3
Wars
different
prequel.
factions. And the first time someone finds one, it's going to blow everyone's fucking mind.
Yeah.
That would be
I
great.
don't think that's going to happen, but there's still a part of me inside that hopes somewhere, just in the distant either, it's there.
That'd be dope.
Or like somebody make the mod for this, which is a game launcher, which like when I land on a planet, like Gears of War starts, and it's like
Right.
oh
It
shit.
loads in like
yeah,
the
and it's
locust.
like basically like you quantum leap, and like it goes like, and you quantum leap, and it's like Marcus, wake up, and you're just like, oh shit, and then at the end when you beat the game, you quantum leap out. you're
That's
back
what I
in your
want.
ship.
I want it to randomize my Steam library.
Yeah.
Yeah, one planet is just Bubsy 3D.
Yep, and you're just like, I gotta get out of
I
here.
have to beat Bubsy 3D to
had
get
to-
off this planet.
Yeah. All right. No Man's Sky review, actual review,
Coming shortly.
scored review.
Yep.
Coming up. Good job, Alex. Putting a
Thank
score
you.
in that thing seems Herculean.
It took some work. It took some work to think about it, but yeah.
See,
I
that's
feel
when
good.
it's
I feel
like-
good about where I'm at.
Jeff Backler, what are you giving it?
That's all of a sudden. What am I giving it?
Yeah.
I'm giving it.
How many Heridiums?
3 Corvax convergences out of friend.
How many vortex cubes out
No,
of?
it's 15 suspension fluids out of 9 pieces of
I
carbon.
found the
Yeah.
formula for suspension fluid real early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that just mean I just make warp cores anytime I want now?
I mean, basically, as long as,
Okay.
as long as you have the other elements necessary. Yeah.
It's just elements at
You
that
need
point.
the antimatter.
Once you
But
figure
you
out,
can make. I have the antimatter formula too.
Okay.
no, yeah, no, that's the thing. Is
No,
that,
you
like,
get that super early.
Yeah.
It
And
doesn't
getting-
matter where you go, you're gonna get
Right.
it.
pretty early on, I realized I was like stockpiling warp cores. Like it's
Okay.
not hard to get those.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not special, Vinny.
Whatever, it's my galaxy. I'm special. Jeff, why are we talking about Dota 2?
So